Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, back in 1947, a 7-year-old boy, a Dutch boy called Dirk Sallemans, and his father made a long car journey to the German city of Cologne. When they arrived, Dirk couldn't believe his eyes. It was a shocking sight, he said in a recent newspaper interview. Rubble everywhere, people living in abject poverty, the entire city flattened by bombing. Today, almost 80 years later, those images are still seared in Dirk's memory, and that was precisely his father's intention. He wanted to show me what war can do to a city, Dirk recalled in the interview. At the same time, he added, we were also hearing radio reports about the establishment of the United Nations in New York, and all my father's hope was invested in that. When the interviewer asked what exactly the hope was based on, Dirk recalled the opening words of the United Nations Charter, we the peoples. And indeed, it is the peoples of the world, the people, who task their governments with saving them from war, human rights violations and inspired Dirk Sallemans to embark on a career as a UN diplomat that spanned almost 30 years. And it is those same words, 80 years on from the UN Charter, that still remind him and us of that task. Of course, the world has changed dramatically since then, and unfortunately we must acknowledge that the mission, no more war, has failed. In fact, this year, even as we celebrate the United Nations 80th anniversary, we have heard it said that the UN can no longer justify its existence. Anyone who says that, however, has forgotten where we came from. Without the UN, there will be no disarmament treaties, no International Court of Justice, no climate agreements on sustainable development goals. Without the UN, which is often the only organization capable of supplying aid in the toughest places on the earth, millions of people would be deprived of food, clean water, and medical aid. Over the past 80 years, we've taken the UN's achievement for granted. We've neglected to look back on where we've come from and all the milestones we have achieved along the way. And although the situation right now might be especially difficult, I know this too. It has never been easy. Every achievement was preceded by the lengthy consultations. Countries were often at loggerheads, and sometimes it was tempting to throw in the towel. But that never happened. And the reason can only be that, despite our many differences, we all understand what's at stake. That's the context in which I view the increasingly frank debate on the UN future. Yes, the world has changed. Yes, international relations have changed. And yes, the way we work together has changed. But I believe that this can lead us to only one conclusion, that we must change with times. And that's exactly what we're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, as I come to the end of my remarks, I realize, as I'm sure you do too, how much work still needs to be done. How many areas in which we, the UN, have fallen short. And how long we waited to adapt to this changing world. So I understand that some of us may be tempted to give in to despair. And yet, we cannot allow that. Because 80 years ago, a Dutch boy stood hand in hand with his father amid the ruins of Cologne. And in that wasteland appeared a glimmer of hope, sparked by what happened here in New York. A glimmer of hope that inspired Dirk Salomons and his father, and the peoples of these United Nations. We, the peoples. Thank you.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands.